Hello, Education 380, Education 500. Hope you're having a great week. Hope you survive midterms. Maybe that's the most important thing to kind of get out there. Um, this week, I'm going to go ahead and jump right in. We're kind of back in the regular flow. So let me go ahead and share my screen. I'm going to go ahead and pull everything up. I know the last couple of weeks I've tried to kind of, I don't know, it's little light and load a little bit because I know with exam stuff and everything, it gets a little tight and time wise, by the way. And I just wanted to kind of make sure everyone could kind of get in there because we can, the way our class flows, you're just on texts and things every week. And then, of course, you have the big Apple project at the end. So, long story short, hope you survived it. Back in the flow, though. So, this week we're going to have a tech discussion and blog and not kind of have them broken up like we did the last 2 weeks. So, with all that being said, I think, though, this week's nothing too groundbreaking. We are actually going to look at one that for better or for worse, it's well, let me rephrase that. I'm kind of talking a little fast. Guess it's a Saturday and gotten to do some stuff outside. We're going to talk about different types of formative style assessments that you can do in the classroom and those quick ones. I have a whole list right here. And the one I was getting ready to say, most of you are probably familiar with is Kahoot. I think everyone at this point is familiar with Kahoot. I'm actually going to use Kahoot though and just kind of show everyone what to do to make a Kahoot because I think it's the most used one. Um, but with that being said, I do have videos up, and when we talk about the assignment, you're welcome to do any of these. GimKit, I know, is getting very popular. Quiz is also something that's very popular. Socratic is another one that's like a Kahoot that's not as competitively based, and that's something I'm going to talk about with Kahoots here in a few minutes. Um, Anything else I wanted to kind of say? Oh, I didn't put it on here, and I think I shared the link. I'm also going to put on here. I've been kind of checking it out a little bit. I'll go ahead if you want to try. Some people have been using Bookit, and I think it would fall into that pretty easily. So I'm just going to go ahead and add it to the list if you want to do it for the assignment. But I'll come back and explain that. Let me just say this. One thing I think with technology that is very nice is sometimes you can get some instant feedback. We talked about it with Nearpod, where you could do the test and the instant things. There's also, and actually I don't have. I was looking for my phone to show you. There's a lot of apps now where you can get the instant feedback from students if the apps are on the iPad or on their phones. Like you can generate word clouds and things like that. And I'm going to show you all that later in the semester, I think. Actually, I know, but this is a benefit of technology, and this is where things get very important to remember, or something very important to remember. The technology is there to help. It's not there to be the lesson, so to speak, especially with all of these. It's supposed to help reinforce the content and things like that. I've seen a lot of creative approaches with all of these. Kahoot is probably, again, the most commonly used. I have a feeling there's probably not a person in this class that has not done a Kahoot now at this point. It was exploding before the pandemic, and I know during and after the pandemic, it's still pretty popular. But I think one thing about Kahoot, if you've ever been in a class or taken part of a Kahoot, you do have to have some expectations. I think not just with Kahoot, but any of these when you're doing it in class, you need to set specific guidelines for your students to follow. For example, and actually, if you give me 1 second, let me see here real quick. Sorry, I was going to sneeze, and if there was a slight pause there. I didn't want you all to have to see that or hear that. One thing with Kahoot that I think it's important for everyone to remember is Kahoot is fun, but if you don't have a set of guidelines or rules or expectations with students, lessons can fall out of. They can go off the rails very quickly. Everyone treats it like it's the Super Bowl sometimes in the class, and it gets a little competitive. I told my students I would do Kahoots. I used a lot of Kahoots because before I came to Shepherd, it was still kind of the go-to tech. A lot of these were either just coming into play or they didn't exist. So Kahoot was very popular and it was fun. I liked it, but I always told my students, like after like 1 or 2 weeks of finding out that it's just, if we were reviewing something like World War II and we were doing the causes, I still have specific objectives and content I want my students to have an understanding of. I don't need to stop after each question to tell everyone to calm down. So I told my students they were allowed to cheer, but they had to cheer quietly, something like that. Couldn't talk in between. It's just you want to keep a flow. I'm not saying every once in a while we didn't have just a fun let's go at it Kahoot, but it's kind of one of those things. I also want to say, I've used these, and actually my son has. I've seen him use a lot of these, and just other teachers. Things like GimKit and Quizlet Live and such. A lot of people like those better for the independent studies. And what I mean is like when you're working, when there's you can assign them for homework and such. Like GimKit has like reward systems and such built in that a lot of students like. Same thing with Blookit, if I can say it correctly. Some of those things are some people they work a little better, maybe not in a group setting. Some people think that. I'm not going to say I'm one, but um, so you're welcome when we talk about the assignment to use any of these. I'm just going to focus on Kahoot because I think it's the most common, and there's chances are your county where you're going to be hired might have a Kahoot account already, and it might even have a few more bells and whistles for you to use. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and hit this, and whoops. You can tell we have a lot of Google accounts in my household, but let's go ahead and go to kahoot.com. Again, like everything, you can sign in with this with your Google account, but I'm not going to do that because I have one from way back in the day that I've just kept. And here's the thing that I can never remember. Did I change the password or not? No, I did not. Oh, this is fantastic. I'm glad this happened. Here's another thing, and I'm going to find out who watches the videos and who does it from this. This happens every time to people. It does it sporadically. Kahoot, when you sign in, will do this thing where it'll pop up like add-ons and things like that. You do not need to add anything. Do not do Kahoot Max or Kahoot Plus. You don't have to buy anything. Just do the free Kahoot. X out of that. And then it never fails. Every semester, I have someone that gets this screen. And if I saw it, I probably would have a coronary too. But you do not have to. There is a way off of this page. People tell me, I cannot get off this page. I cannot get off this page. How did this happen? It's never happened before. And it does it randomly. It's very easy to get off this page. You scroll down to the bottom, it says continue with basic. You just click that. I'm actually glad this happened. So boom. And guess what? We are in Kahoot. Like I say, I have a lot of Kahoots. As you can see, there's 73 that are in there. I did History Bowl when I was in 8th grade. Not when I was in 8th grade, but when I taught 8th grade. We used it for the National Geographic Bee. I really liked it for things like that. But it's still fun to use. But if you're doing certain programs and all, that's awesome. As you can see, I mean, we had some really big Kahoots sometimes for like different contests and such. But all you have to do for a Kahoot, and I'll show you the assignment, but if you want to make something, you're going to go, it should be right up here. Oh, just to kind of show you some stuff. There are pre-made Kahoots. I'm sure you know this. But if you look here, there's collections you can do. You can do searches. There's obviously filters. But let's go back to home. I usually like just go to library, and you can do those are ones that I've done, and I'll have all yours. Let's discover some Kahoots though. Why don't I do that? As you can see, they have them up here. If you want to do social studies, sorry, I defaulted that. You can look right there, but of course, you can do the filter and search too. Maybe I want to do the Cold War, and there's some pre-made Kahoots. Here's another thing I want to tell you about Kahoots though. If you do something like this, and obviously this is with any technology, but I don't know if you know this or not. Of course you do. Um, the internet sometimes isn't the best source for information or things to use. So if you ever use, I'm not saying I've never not used a Kahoot that was made by someone else, but I always check it because sometimes they're made by students. Maybe it's a teacher who made a mistake. Make sure the content that is on the Kahoot is correct. Because that I have seen Kahoots used before that people have been reviewing for. I've done student teaching or people have done them briefly. I wouldn't recommend using Kahoot when you're doing your student teaching observations, not when you're student teaching, but if someone's observing you anyway. But just unless it's very short. But I've seen people when Kahoot became a big fad, and it was kind of there was bad information on it because they didn't create the Kahoot. You're going to create it for this exercise, but just make sure you always check any of the information. But anyway, that's besides the point. When you go in here, and of course you'll have your all, but I'm going to make a Kahoot, so I'm going to click that. As you can see, Kahoot. And there's a bunch of different templates that should pop up. And there's the formative assessment Kahoots. There's a whole bunch. I really don't care what type of Kahoot you make. Personally, I would just do, I'm just going to create a new Kahoot. That's all I want to do. And you can go in and do anything. I'm just going to do one since I typed in Cold War. I'm going to do this. You just type the question in. What two countries were in a dispute after WW2 until 1990? And you can do, go down here and do US and USSR. Hopefully everyone knows that's the correct entry, and you just click there. And of course, you have to put at least 2 here. For this assignment, I don't care if you put 2 or 4, but you can do US and China. Well, let's do this actually, because we'll do US and Mexico. Trying to make it. I don't know how if there's any social studies people in here. I guess you could get into disputes. The big one was US and USSR, but of course, let's do USSR and I don't know why I'm just thinking. We'll do Czech Republic and we'll do let's do UK and France, and then that's it. And you see, there's time. There's the points that you can do. I just always use standard. You can do multiple selections if you want, but as you can see, you have to bump it up. So single select is what we want. You can also insert things. As you can see here, here's what's weird. If you see the star, you have so many free images you can use. You can definitely use the GIFs or GIFs, whatever you prefer. And let's just put Cold War. I'm not even requiring that you do this. My students always like the images. So, just make sure they're always appropriate if you're doing your class. So there's Kennedy speaking at the Berlin Wall. That's a nice one. And I like that. So I'm going to add a slide. Whoops. And you can see, I thought I messed up there for a minute. As you can see, there's different ones on there, but you can just add another question is all you need to do. And it lets you select this. I'm going to go back and show you again because I got a little sidetracked there. But as you can see, let's go. Let's exit real quick. I'm going to do this again. Go back in. I just want to show you that. Oh, that was a nice one. As you can see, that was another Kahoot I was doing. Oh my gosh, I'm off the rails right now. Let's do this. Boom. There we go. As you can see here, for this assignment that you're going to have to do, just to reset, that was the first one that I did. You have to do 10 questions for this, and you can do it in Kahoot. You can do it in Gimkit. I don't care. Do Blookit, whatever. So you're just going to add another question. You're going to pick the type. I don't care what type of questions. If you want to do true, false, if you want to do quiz, which is just the 4, as you can see there, true, false, that's what it looks like. They have to type the answer. Whatever works for you works for me. I'm going to do a true, false, and we'll do the US received 2 pandas, panda bears, from China in 70s. That was panda diplomacy. That answer is true. And we can probably do this. Let's do another GIF. Oh, let's do this one. He looks like he's having a good time. And I think you got the point. And then if I want to add another question, I do the same thing. You're going to do that 10 times. That's Kahoot. I like Kahoot. I know it has its detractors. and things like that. But I think at the end of the day, it can be fun. And of course, you can share it and things like that. But let's just go ahead and get out of the, actually, I'm going to add one more question just to make it easy on myself. And we'll do one more here. Um, the wall that fell in 1989 was located in Paris. And of course, that is false. Put that there. Let's put the Berlin Wall. And let's do it. It's a good one. A lot of Kennedy on this one. All right. We're going to go with those three questions. I'm going to save it. We'll say Cold War Review. And we're going to continue and do that. Your Kahoot is ready. So we're going to go done. Now, you'll probably say, hey, that's fantastic. Now, what do I need to do? There's a couple ways you can do this. If you click the, obviously, it seems to be said a lot, but these three dots, click there. You can share it right there. Hit that. There's your, you can just submit that. Put it on a Word document, slap it up there, and it'll work. If you're having a lot of problems, you are welcome to email it to me right up there. Either one works. If you are really desperate, if you don't want to do the share things, but you still want to submit something, I'm even fine with screenshots for this one pretty easily because I can still see that you have the questions. I'm actually mimicking a screen here with that. So you can do it either way, but just hit the three dots or take a screenshot of your questions. You can do multiple files if you need to. That's no problem. So that's Kahoot. That's one thing you have to do this week. Again, the formative style assessment. If you want to do something other than Kahoot, I have no problems with that. It just needs to be on that list or check with me because these things are, these are the ones that, you know, I have these on here, but they seem to, there seems to be new ones like weekly at this point. If there's one that you think will work for this, it's similar, just check with me. I actually like seeing different things. Last semester, I think was the first time where there were still probably slightly more Kahoots. A lot of people did GimKit. GimKit is a very similar setup and everything, so I try to keep these videos to the point, but if you are interested in one of the other ones, I do have all the videos down here too. Also, there's some news stories on like using, I thought I had a Kahoot article on here somewhere. I'll find it. But with that being said, or I'll send it to you. Oh, is that there? There it is, Kahoot New York Times article. Those aren't required readings, but if you want to check them out, go for it. It just talks about this. So this week, what you have to do, as it says, you're going to pick one of the formative assessment style techie things. You're going to create a free account. If you have problems with Kahoot, just hit that continue with basic. You do not need to pay for anything. Create a short set of 10 questions. And share your work on Brightspace as either a link or download a PDF. Some of them do let you do that, or you can screenshot it. That's it for the tech. One other thing, and I know that it says Canva at the end of the semester. I might still do some. I want to do something with that still because it's starting to become more and more popular. But the Tech Like a Pirate this week talks a little bit about infographics. I think infographics are cool. Like I say, I might email this to you. I won't put it on this video, but there's actually some cool ones I've seen on some apps lately. And if we were in class live, I'd probably make everyone just go ahead and do it. But I want you to make an infograph. There's two. Canva is probably the more popular one. Another one I have used is Easily. I will say this, it's gotten better. For a while, Easily was not maybe the easier of the two to use. But I still kept it on there. Some people actually used it last semester to give it a roll, but I will go ahead and tell you that if I was going to pick now, I would do Canva. You're going to have to make a basic infograph related to your content area. And as it says there, elementary, you have free choice of what you want to do. And you're just going to share it on the discussion board. If you want to know what you're supposed to do, I'm going to show you Canva because I'm going to recommend using Canva more, but I like to give you the choice. When you click, okay, let's get it on there. Click on here. Same thing as always. If you have sign in with Google, you're fine. I think my Canva is actually tied to my Google account. Yep. And there are a bazillion different things on here. And quite simply, the best thing I can tell you is you might have to pick different things. That's one that my son and I were actually working on. He was doing a presentation. I'll continue with last design just to kind of show you. Maybe. There we go. Um, let's see. Go ahead. Again, don't try. I don't know why it's. Can we get rid of that? It seems like it's a little slow here. There we go. It wasn't going away. Um, as you can see, there's all types of designs down here. You don't have to. I'm not tying you down to one. There's templates here. I just want you to make a template based on something that you're teaching. Let's go ahead and hit that templates. Sorry, it's operating a little slow. Could be my internet, though it looks like it's got full bars. So you can see there's presentation, there's social media, there are infographics, should be down here. Instagram stories. You could use posters. When I say infographic, it doesn't really matter. Let me just not even make our lives more complicated than they need to be. Infographic. You can type in search, and there should be templates there. Boom. You can do a timeline. You can do whatever. I think these are fun. These are something you can have students do if they have Google accounts. But all you need to do is, let's just click one. Again, being social studies. Oh, there's steps. I can't help it. I like a good timeline. Customize this template. And I click it. And it should be pulling up. And all you need to do is you can make this bigger. Just go down there. And what you do is you just literally start typing over it. So you see, you click, and then you can change the dates and everything. You just kind of this is one where it's a little intuitive. You have to play with it a little bit. You can find images, and here's some more templates. Let's move this scary face over here. As you can see, and there's like history templates. As you can see, pretty cool. You just play with it and you type on there. And again, it's just like everything else. Once you're done with it, you're going to click there. Oh, there it is. Is that the link? Link. I don't like that. Oh, there it is. There's the share button. And as you sit there, you can do a couple things. You can either download it as a PDF. It says suggested. I've seen it different ways. I've seen just standards fine. I don't need to. It's fine if you want to download it as a PDF, or you can of course send the link, copy the link. Just make sure you see right here where it says only you can have access. Just make sure that anyone with the link has access. If you download it as a PDF and submit it, you don't have to change that. But if you submit the link, just make sure I have that. With that being said, if you need any help with this, Easely's on there, but I would recommend Canvas. And it says you can switch your things and you just type right over it. So I'm a little, sorry, it's a little delayed there. As you can see, it doesn't have to be anything fancy. Just pick something content oriented and just share it up on the discussion board, and I'll check them out. I think it might be fun for everyone to see what stuff that other people are doing too. So that was another reason. So that's the two things that you really have to do this week. When you blog, you can actually blog on either Canva, Easily, or Kahoot. I don't care which, since you're doing a little bit of multiple tech this week. I thought it'd just be a little different, more fun to make some infographics instead of just typing another discussion post. Now, with that being said, I think that is it for the week. The last thing I wanted to say, let me pull up our week. I think I have it right back here. I guess I didn't. I'm just having a little bit of a time today, it seems like, but it's okay. All right, let's get out of there. I'm going to cheat a little bit. We'll just go back. While I'm going to where our class is, the one thing I wanted to say, I don't think I typed it up, and it's a week or two past. Ed puzzles were really good, and I know I sent some emails. If you haven't seen those, there was a couple Ed puzzles I couldn't open. The Ed puzzle blogs were very interesting to read. Again, I know this was from a couple weeks ago, but I don't think I mentioned this on the last video. It seemed like people either loved Ed puzzle or hated Ed puzzle, which, hey, I don't have a stock in the company, so it's all good with me either way. Sound like some people were going to use it and liked it, and once they figured it out, I will say it is one of the, I don't want to call it clunky, but I guess clunky might be the best word for it. It can be a little awkward, but once you figure it out, and I saw that on the blogs a bazillion times, like at first they were like, I wanted to strangle this computer. And then once I kind of figured out what it was doing, I kind of liked it. And I'm very much the same way with Edpuzzle. Every time I start to use Edpuzzle, I almost have to give myself a refresher on what I'm trying to do. So anyway, I appreciated the honesty and the good feedback on the blogs. That, my friends, is probably it. Let's just make sure we're all on the same page though with the work. And I'll get the heck off of here. This week, you're going to do your technology, you're going to do your discussion, which is the infographics, and you're going to blog on either the infographics or the Kahoot, KimKit, whatever you book it, whatever you do. Everything should be up here. If you notice down here, some people have asked me about the Apple certification or the Google certification. You are welcome to start it. And some people have actually swung by my office for a little help signing in. You're welcome to do that anytime too. Just remember, the Apple certification isn't actually due until finals week. That's actually your final for the class. Some people like to work ahead. Don't blame you. I'm the same way. So with that being said, I hope everyone's going to have a great week. I'm going to get off here. I was a little more long-winded this week, I know, but that was partially because I know the last week or two have been a little shorter. So if you have any questions, feel free to stop by. I do want to make the note that on Tuesday of this week, I do have office hours, but I probably will not be in because I'm out doing field observations. I have like 3 that got scheduled that day. It just worked out that way. So if I'm not around on Tuesday, I'm sorry. I'm out in the field, but feel free to email me and we can set up a time. So with all that being said, hope everyone has a great week, and I'll talk to everyone later. Bye.